So I just got all packed up and drove all the way to Charleston, and I'm about to lead 2 calls. Oh, and it was after the hurricane, losing power, losing the internet, losing Wi-Fi, barely having cell coverage. Then finally going to a neighbor's who had a generator, and then going back to where I had rented, only to put on a load of laundry, and the whole house started smelling like sewage. So I'm like, oh dear, I think the flooding has done something to the pipes. So I got all packed up and moved out, and I just decided that the theme of this month with all the podcasts is meeting God and the goddess, like the divine masculine, the divine feminine. Like, do I really trust they have me or not? Is it just a concept and something good to spew, or have I embodied it? So after a lot of contemplation, asking for help, being vulnerable, I have decided to take a sabbatical for a month, my sacred sabbatical. And so this month that you'll be seeing all these podcasts, I'm going to be like, peace out. And my Allana Pratt method coaches are going to take the group calls. I've rescheduled my PSIs. I've postponed the mastery, Become the One Mastery, till the new year, till January. And I'm going to take care of me, self first. So I just got all packed up and I drove, and now I've got 2 last calls to lead, and I need a little booster. So I was about to go, and I'm staying at clients. So and I'm staying in their daughter's amazing room, and there's like all of her stuffed animals, and there's my cat. And I was about to go, okay, I need a cup of coffee to get through these next 2 calls, but I know if I do that, I'm going to be up all night. So I went into my stash of Magic Mind, which says, reclaim your brain. That's what I need to do right now. I need to reclaim the best of my brain. I need to be able to focus. I'm doing a video, but I'm almost done. I'll be right there. Okay, I'll be like, I'm literally like just 30 seconds away. I'll be right there. So I wanted you to know that you can try 3 of these. The company is so generous. They magicmind.com/intimate trial. That's the site to go to, and then use the code intimate trial, all capitals, all one word, and you'll get 3 of these babies to give it a go and see how it makes you feel, because my goodness, it's how I keep it together. First thing in the morning, this is my thing. But on special days like this, where I need a little extra help, I'm going to go for my 2nd dose of Magic Mind and be there for my clients. And then I'm going to say peace out for the whole month of October. I'm going to put myself first. I encourage you to see, where can you put yourself first, and trust God and the goddess, Shiva Shakti, divine masculine feminine, has your back. All right. I love you so much. Welcome to Intimate Conversations. Become the one. Intimacy is an inside job. Welcome to another episode of Intimate Conversations. Here we are, season 12, Become the One. And this month, we're talking about meeting God and the goddess, allowing the universe to have your back. Now, this season, all of our themes every single month are my 10 Allana Pratt method processes. This one, meeting God and the goddess, is in my 2nd program, Find the One or Awaken the One You're With. The first program, you'll be seeing this, I believe, in October. So the first program, Become the One Mastery, has started. And in that program, we're doing Little You. We're doing Sitting in the Fire, the Dance of Polarity, Theater of Redemption, that's a goodie, and Conscious Communion with the Beloved. They literally build on one another. The roots create the shoots. And so this process we're going to be talking about today is in Find the One or Awaken the One Mastery. And it was created, okay, before we even get started, I just have to tell you what's going on outside right now. Okay, so I'm in South Carolina at the shooting of this podcast. And I'm literally overlooking a lake. I've been paddleboarding all morning. And so I just got all dolled up with kind of like nowhere to go with my sexy dress off the shoulder, feeling so beautiful. So I'm sitting here getting ready for the filming of this. And this squirrel, look at this. He's like chilling out, like just chilling on the balcony. Anyways, it's just so funny. I just got to get that off my chest because he's just sitting there right now. He's like, "So you filming your podcast?" I'm like, "Yes, I am." Okay, so back to God and the goddess. I've done personal growth work for probably 25 years at this point. And there was some workshop I went to. I can't even remember where it happened, but they were taking us on this journey of talking to God and the goddess. And I liked that because I didn't like God as a guy with a beard in the sky. Like that didn't land for me. And not like I really think there's like two people, scotch and cigars sitting in heaven, like chilling out or whatever. But the concept was powerful because I couldn't look them in the eye. I couldn't look them in the eye. All this shame came up. I'm not doing it right. I'm not good enough. You're not proud of me. And then all my mother and father wounds came up, or my betrayal by the feminine, or my betrayal from the masculine. Like all my authority issues came up, my religious issues came, all these. Anyways, it was quite a powerful process. So over the years, all of my processes, or a combination basically of everything I've ever learned, thousands of years old texts, etc., and with maybe a neuroscience twist, or an Allana twist. And they're very, very powerful. And so this process is amazing in terms of integrating any of those projections we have or unhealed wounds that we have, so that by the end of the process, you can actually look God and the goddess in the eye, not like some superior or whatever judging you, you're so bad and wrong, like you're homies, like you're partners, like you're in this together. And I won't, no spoiler alerts at the end, but it's a truly embodied homecoming where you really don't just think or believe, you feel, you embody that the divine not only has your back, the divine is in, as, and through you, literally co-creating. Over the years, I've done lots of spiritual growth. I've done psychedelic journeys. I've done these dyads. It's called an illumination intensive, where for 5 days you say, "Tell me who you are," and you can reach a state of direct contact, direct experience with our true nature. Um, Tons of certifications that you can imagine, but where I am now in my evolution, and I'll never get there. I always have at least 3 or 4 coaches going on, because I think it's out of integrity for me to be a coach if somebody isn't coaching me and seeing my blind spots. But there's the greatest embodiment I've ever experienced is now. And there's this feeling that I can get to when I let go of attachment, and I let go of all the trying to look good, do it right. And I just be, and I let the inspiration just arise through me. Not even a if then, not like an in order to, not just like, just this inspiration arises. And I literally feel it coming through my body forward. And then meeting me is God and the goddess, is the divine. It's like pressing up right against me. I don't have to try. I'm being held, I'm being met, I'm being supported, I'm being guided. I need to be present. I need to put one foot in front of the other. I need to navigate and integrating my fears. Like I'm still afraid a lot, but I'm not alone, and I'm co-creating with the divine, and it feels so good. And it's not 24/7, but it's more and more and more often. So this is where this process came from. And I really hope you're watching this as one of the people that are in Become the One Mastery. And if not, I really look forward to you joining Find the One or Awaken the One Mastery in the new year. And if you are any of my clients that are watching, you know that you get these complimentary as a year-long client with me. All right. So to your questions around this topic that my beautiful social media team has put together for me. Thank you. Thank you. Allana, how can we use spirituality to heal sexual wounds or shame? Okay, so I think they gave me this question because of the healing of shame that's especially amazing with this process. So let's first, I guess, define spirituality. And I'm not going to do like Google search or whatever. I just want my definition is when the truth of my nature, that I'm one with all, that I'm enough, that I'm home, and whole as an embodied presence that I can express freely. And I can also be spaciousness in the face of any circumstance and keep my heart open. That way of being, I call being spiritually aware or following the path of spirituality, to be that. I believe I'm the greatest contribution to others when I be that. And when I can be that with myself, I'm kind and compassionate and I'm brave. So let's start there. So that's like maybe spirituality. So how can we use spirituality to heal sexual wounds and shame? Well, all of my processes, I would call spiritual processes. They are not cognitive analysis processes. They are not, let's just get a little relief processes. I'm the opposite. I'm like, where's the pain go? Where's the shadow go? Like, I'm the opposite. It's not like, oh, it's getting a little uncomfortable. Let's like pull out. I'm like, oh no, like double down. Like we're sixth gear now. We're going for it. Because what I've discovered over decades of doing this work is unintegrated emotions keep me out of my body. And then I don't get to be embodied ascension, right? So if we have shame and we aren't willing to feel it, we disassociate. All the things we all know that we do, all of these misery behaviors that we do that, run away from intimacy, love, connection, etc. And so shame is, on the Hawkins scale of consciousness, it's the lowest, shame and guilt, right at the bottom. And so if we don't shine a light and move towards it, if we don't have compassion for it, if we don't sit in it, we don't feel it, it runs the show. And we will give away our power in a heartbeat. We won't even show up, because guilt is I did something wrong, but shame is I am wrong. So if I'm already wrong, why try, right? Why try? Let's just be on Netflix and stay in bed all day. And so it's very, very important that a spiritual process, the way I'm defining spirituality, where we feel, not have a better attitude, not read another book. And as amazing as this podcast, I hope, is for you, it's not enough just to watch another podcast. It's a step in the right direction to then take the next action to do the deep inner work and feel. But just an awareness that you have shame is not enough to heal it. It's the first step, though. I'm thinking of a client story. Beautiful woman, intelligent woman, successful woman, and yet these behaviors. She would overgive to her mother, siblings, to the point of being like a martyr victim. She would attract cheaters, alcoholics, narcissists, sex addicts, very unhealthy people. But she's so smart and she's so beautiful and she's so what you'd consider on the surface spiritual. But she's actually not even in her body. She's really in her head and she knows all the lingo. But she's not in her body at all. Was not until she started working with me. And to get her in there and feel, the very first thing we bumped into is how much she hates herself. Shame. I'm bad and wrong. Loathing. And when we tied into the question, how can we use spirituality to heal sexual wounds and shame? She had all these behaviors from these gentlemen that she would attract, but she also used her sexuality as a manipulation. Because when we got really, really deep, I'm bad, the shame, because all I'm worth is my pussy, my body. That's it. That was the subconscious belief actually running the show that she didn't even know was running the show. She just knew that these were some of her behaviors. And I was lovingly direct and kind, but straight. And I said, babe, you're using your sexuality to manipulate them to get their attention. So that is the vibration at which you're starting this whole show, this whole dynamic, this whole relationship is I'm wrong. I'm a piece of meat. The only thing I'm valuable is my body and my sexuality. So I'm going to use it to get love, which of course you're never going to get love that way. Right. So for her to face that, feel that, and then with my support, integrate that. Oh my God. Can you say bravery? Yes. Holy. It took several sessions for her to be able to stay in her body when we began to feel the emotions, to be able to integrate them. And so we started where we started. we could get in there for a little bit and then peace out, and then get in there a little longer. But when I can help people stay in there long enough to trust the body and let the body of its own accord take us back, the autonomic nervous system, all the way back to zero, and we let the body do what it's going to do. We let the emotions do what they're going to do. We just let it run the show. We had several sessions where she got back to zero. And the beautiful thing is, it's not like, now I feel good enough, or now I can get the guy, or now whatever. Like, there's a stillness and a wholeness and a self-forgiveness, like a mercy. And there's no agenda anymore. And a relationship would be nice, but I don't need it. And because she really is, she's very good at leaving. She's very good at like disassociating. So she has pretty damn good connection to spirit. She can hear spirit, but she can't embody it for shit until we started to do the work together. So when we finally got all the way in, she was able to be in her body with an open heart, no longer ashamed of herself or closed with wounds. And then it went all the way up to her like pineal, center of her head, out to the universe, non-local intelligence. She could hear her father that passed. She could hear the spirit of her unborn baby. This woman is potently magnificent. Wow. But she couldn't embody the wisdom that she could hear spiritually because she wasn't in her body, and there was unintegrated wounds in her body. She wasn't embodied. And so it's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful to watch the end of the behaviors that really caused her pain, suffering, to bring relationships back into healthy balance, to choose a relationship but not need it, and to love her body. So that is how these processes that I take people through can heal sexual wounds and shame. And if we take it all the way back to the title of this podcast, Allowing the Universe to Have Your Back, Meeting God and the Goddess, Allowing the Universe to Have Your Back, everything's been on her shoulders. If she doesn't do it, no one will do it. She's not co-creating with the divine. But when you're embodied and the divine whisper is in, as and through you, and you can feel the ache of the divine to know itself as you, to live its dream through you, you're co-creating. You don't have to handle it all yourself. Your worth is not based on killing yourself. You're so tired. You're doing everything for everybody else and not even thankful. Like, that behavior's over now. So the universe has her back. And she doesn't just, think it or believe it in her head. She knows it in her bones, in her blood, in her hips. And that's a wonderful way to go through life, knowing the universe has your back. It allows you, okay, if there's a circumstance, if there's a challenge, okay, I can get through this. It doesn't make us clench and go into control and significance and drama and all the rest of it because it's up to us. No. The universe never went anywhere. The divine never went anywhere. And the divine is supporting her. So there's more of a grace that she handles challenge. And it's beautiful to see, which also makes her like way more sexy to quality people, by the way, right? Okay, number 2. Allana, how can I trust the universe? Oh, we just talked about that. How can I trust the universe when it feels like my love life is filled with only challenges and unmet desires? Okay, one more time, Allana. How can I trust the universe when it feels like my love life is only filled with challenges and unmet desires? I'm so sorry. I'm just going to be a bitch right now. I'm like, grow up. Like, get out the violin. Like, victim. Okay, that's not nice at all, is it? That's not very nice. When wait, a couple things. Have you noticed life's unfair? Yeah, quite, very, extremely. I have a point of view that supports me right out of the gate. So I'm going to say that kind of question has, like, in parentheses, like, poor me, victim. My circumstances are bigger than me. I'm smaller than my circumstances. Whenever we have that point of view, we're going to suffer. We're going to be a victim or martyr. Life really, really sucks. So we need to shift that point of view and be bigger than our circumstances and bigger than these challenges. And just that shift from being smaller than them to bigger than them helps. That's one thing. But the other thing with life is unfair is when we compare ourselves to others. It also, there's always going to be somebody younger, thinner, richer, like whatever, right? So I actually had a call the other day with one of my group calls, and it was an authentic experience of just exactly that. And yet this particular client is not a whiner. He does his work. And it was an authentic experience of, it's just so unfair. It's just so unfair. Nobody gets me of how hard it's been. And so I was like, oh, wait a minute. I need to go deeper with him. I need to not just react and tell him to, you know, pull you up by your bootstraps. And I remembered actually in one of my, I think it was one of my first, maybe my third PSI, psychedelic somatic integration journey, where what came up inside of me was the feeling of being a victim. And I was so ashamed that I just pushed it down. And my facilitator at the time said, no, let's feel this. It's part of being human. You were victimized. Different than being a victim, but being victimized, and feeling that through and not leaving myself. And as I did, it integrated, and I could have compassion for myself. And I also had wisdom that different souls have different paths, that a young baby soul might have an easier life from the outside in, but to them it's hard because they're just new. And as opposed to like an old soul that has how many challenges? Oh my God, really, really, really hard. But if that old soul looks at a young soul, it's like, well, they got off scot-free, didn't they? Like, that's so easy. Why do they get it easy? Poor me, right? So first, I just allowed him to feel the authentic experience of looking at young souls who don't get him. He feels very alone. And it has been really challenging. His life has been really challenging, and he keeps doing the work. So to let him have that experience first until integration, until it was processed, until he felt seen, understood, honored, respected, gotten, everything quieted down inside. And while this was going on, I was thinking of another client in another group that I have. I have the Intimacy Breakthrough Journey group, and I have the Inner Circle group, and then I have my PSI VIP clients. And one day I'll have the docuseries group too. So keep posted for that. I'm feeling next year. Anyways, as he was sharing and his eyes were still closed, I said, what if we suffer because we're only seeing half of life? You're suffering because you're only seeing the young souls who, in comparison, in contrast, have it friggin' easy. And that'll cause you to suffer and feel like a victim. I go, why don't we look at the other half of life? People who I consider to be old souls who choose to be disabled, to not have all their limbs, to be LGBTQ plus. Hell, in some cultures, just being a woman, you'll be stoned to death if you do certain things. Like, I'm thinking of another client in one of my groups, and he's African-American and gay. That's an old soul to take on both of those challenges in a life. And as my Caucasian client was like, oh, and then I said, look at all the, we'll call them maybe marginalized people on the planet. Look through the eyes of, oh, wow, those are a bunch of old souls doing the hard work, willing to show up, even though it's unfair, even though it's hard, even though they too look at the young souls who got it easy, right? And then it sort of, this side, it levels the playing field, that we're all just here to grow. And based on our point of view, based on our soul's evolution, we all have our challenges. And all of that beautifully integrated for him. So back to the question, how can I trust the universe when it feels like my love life is filled with only challenges and unmet desires? So that's one point of view, an accurate point of view of how hard it is, how your love life is asking you to grow and lean in and sit in the fire and mature. Maybe the other side of that is, what are the benefits, the advantages, the gifts, the message, what's right about these challenges and unmet desires? Who are you being invited to become? What dormant evolutionary quality is still lying asleep inside of you that would only wake up if you were challenged in this way, or if you didn't have it all perfect all the time. When we start to look at the other point of view of your very, very same situation, you're no longer the victim of it, because you can see the pros, the cons, you can see the benefits and the costs. You can see the pain and the pleasure. You come into balance. You come into harmony with what's going on. And that is one internal, embodied way to embrace life from presence, right? And so I have another client that I'll share with about this, who's just started as well. And his marriage is definitely challenging. And he has a lot of unmet desires for a lot of decades. And so on the one hand, I meet him with compassion, how it must feel to be so emasculated, so alone, so void of touch or warmth or appreciation, and really get him, really, really, really get him, and put myself in his shoes of what that must be like. And also raised, he's a little bit older. I guess my average clients are probably 50s. I have, the youngest is probably 22. The oldest is 78. She just had, the 78-year-old just had her 6th date. So I just love my clients. So he's in his early 70s. So a little older. So when I think about what it would be like to be a man growing up, when he was in his teens and 20s, you didn't get to have feelings. You certainly don't be vulnerable. Your job is to provide, just suck it up, buttercup. Like, I'm just trying to have all this compassion for him, but I'm not going to pity him, and I'm not going to baby him, because he's a motherfucking badass, and he's handsome. He's bright. He's funny. He's driven. And he has, like, if you ask me, decades left, good 2 decades left to have some fun. And so I say to him, how are these challenges for you, not against you? What's right about these unmet desires? What inside of you is being asked to up-level, evolve? He goes, well, I'm not a very good communicator. I'm like, well, there's a good start. Okay. So when's the last time you've had a talk about this? Oh, well, she just thinks everything's perfect. So he just keeps avoiding these conversations with her. I'm like, well, honey, you've been avoiding these conversations for decades. It's not going to change unless you get a little messy, a little brave, till you start to learn how to be intimate, not have sex be intimate, but like be together, find your similarities, your humanity, start talking about what you're afraid of, what you ache for, what you miss, what you desire, what you yearn for. You got to start talking. I go, because she's not coaching with me, just him. I go, she might actually not even know that you're feeling this way. She might be completely out to lunch thinking you're happy. She might not, but she might. And so before we assume and throw somebody under the bus or whatever, no, give them the benefit of the doubt and start having a conversation about it. So all the way back to the beginning of your question, with this love life that is challenged and your unmet desires, how can I trust the universe? I guess on a fundamental level, foundational level, I believe life is for me, and every single thing I lean into, I grow. So I've got proof, but I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here if the universe is not for me, if the universe isn't listening. Too many miracles have occurred when everything fell apart that let me know, keep going, keep going. Too much self-worth, humble self-worth, has arisen, grown, awakened in me when I did what was hard, when I was afraid and I did it anyways, when I cleaned up my messes, when I let something go, when I let somebody be right, all these things. I grow so much that I've got to, and not even believe, I just know the universe is listening and for me. And I also know, because I geek out and I've interviewed several, go back years, there's several quantum physicists, science conversations about the universe as well, that it's a feedback loop. It's a feedback loop that's conscious and it's listening. And if I put out thoughts, beliefs, if I put out feelings that, I suck, life sucks, excuse me, if I put that vibration frequency out to the universe can only say, sorry. And so it is. It's going to give me situations that are in alignment with my vibration, my frequency. However, I've seen the shifts in my life. My life was pretty much a mess. Still has moments like that. But when I look back and I think about what were my thoughts, how did I talk to myself? Was I even in my body? No. Was I hypervigilantly looping in level 4 trauma? Yes. Did I know that? No. But I didn't give up. I just kept doing the work. And my life is extraordinary, which doesn't mean it's perfect, which doesn't mean I don't get sad or scared or mad. It just means I don't get triggered. I have a feeling, but I'm able to stay in my body and feel it, as opposed to I have a feeling and I leave, or I'm not even in my body in the first place and I'm just spinning a million miles an hour. That's how it was. So now I'm still a human. I still have challenges. I still have, unmet desires. Yeah, I'm single. So I still have unmet desires. And I have a business. I'm an entrepreneur. It's not like this is a walk in the park. But I know the universe is on my side because I have a feeling of living my dharma. I have a feeling of fulfillment from giving my best. I love my clients. They are my family. I weep happy tears of like breathtaking, exquisite joy when I help somebody come home to zero and they're in their body and they know they're enough. To me, that's the universe. And to blame the universe, like, where's my stuff? Where's my stuff, universe? Like, is, I think, a little immature. And that doesn't mean the universe doesn't care. It doesn't mean the universe isn't listening. It doesn't mean you can't trust the universe. It just means, like, if this is which I believe it is, a co-creative experience, what we put out is a frequency that comes back in this feedback loop. Be willing to be spiritually mature and go, okay, if this is the outside, what must I be thinking, doing, feeling, resonating at on the inside that would create that on the outside? And don't judge yourself about it. Please, get in a basket, bathe yourself in mercy, get in a big bath of mercy and sit in there. Be kind to yourself. Be compassionate with yourself. And then fucking take ownership and grow up. Okay. Number 3, Allana, what advice do you have for someone navigating the pain of divorce? Okay, great question. I have done that twice. I've had many breakups as well. So I think I'm pretty good at that. The first thing, of course, is feel it. Do not avoid it. Do not go out and start dating again. Date yourself. As we say around here, become the one. And just like this last question, take on the point of view that this is for you, not against you. Definitely call me. Definitely do an intimacy breakthrough experience with me so we can talk about the possibility that I can support you on this journey. Do not go through this alone. Do not hang out with people who hate women or hate men or bypass. Don't do that. Don't do any of those things. All the things, like, don't talk shit about your ex in front of your kids, all those kind of things. But that's real hard when you're devastated. You've been betrayed, humiliated. When it's maybe you've been wired outside in versus inside out, and your whole worth and your safety and your approval and everything was in that partner. And you're like, oh my God, now I'm on my own. And I feel like I'm just falling into this void, this chasm of hell. Okay, it's not fun. But thank God, because that's not how it's meant to work. You are your own sense of safety, worth, approval on the inside. That is what it's time to cultivate. So if any of those feelings are happening, on the one hand, ouch, owie, owie, get yourself into, coaching in a beautiful community with somebody like me, feel through your feelings and start to look at, like I said in the past, what's right about this? How is the universe for me right now? Where is it time for me to grow and evolve? And how can I, and literally make the choice, how can I be better because of this? How can I be more? How can I be softer? How can I be stronger? How can I be more authentic? There's a lot of great questions you could ask around this. So that would be part one. Part two, choose that this is a glorious time of awakening. That, and upon, there's lots of great processes that I can take you through. So at the end of one of my processes in the Become the One Mastery program, we sit down and we take on the point of view that we are the director, producer, and actor in our life. We created the whole thing for our growth. Now, there's a part one to the process that allows part two to actually not just be cognitive analysis. It actually is embodiment to the point of like tears and like, it's for realsies. But we start saying, thank you for this betrayal. Thank you for this divorce. Thank you even for the pain of this divorce, because, and we do the work because I've learned, I've discovered, I've evolved, I've let go of, I've stepped into, I've become, right? When you can do the work, and I'm going to say, give yourself a year. I don't work with anybody for less than a year, with the exception of these online programs that are 8 weeks. But I invite everybody to still come work with me for a year because, temporary relief is not lasting. It's not in your bones. It's not in your blood. It's just like a quick fix. And as soon as something gets tough, you're going to fall off the wagon. You're going to go right back to where you were and hate yourself more because you tasted it. You tasted it. And you're saying, what's wrong with me? And now we're back to square one and then worse. So people work with me for a year because I want to not give them a fish, but teach them to fish. And I want them to have lasting change that they can apply through all of life's challenges. Because once you get through one challenge, so sorry, that's not the last, right? People are like, oh my God, I found the one. I'm like, great, gonna be more challenges. Oh, you're right. This whole living together thing. I'm like, oh yeah, now I have a kid. Yeah. Oh, now let's have your parents die. Now it goes on. We don't get there, people. We don't get there. So these capacities of embodied awakening, embodied ascension, embodied spirituality, this embodiment, that's what you need to truly have a life where you thrive, which doesn't mean it's perfect, but you're pretty fulfilled and happy. So I will conclude this question. What advice do you have for someone navigating the pain of divorce with a story? First, call me. That's what call me. Okay. Call me. Let's do some work. So thinking of my last client, 2 PSIs ago, psychedelic somatic integration is a piece of my work that I do with people. I work privately and we do group calls every week. We often, not everybody comes, but most people come to the annual intimacy retreat. This March, we're going to be in Isla Mujeres off of Cancun, Mexico. And when people are really having trouble getting out of their head and they are really having trouble feeling and staying embodied and staying present and feeling their feelings, and the wounds are still there and they just keep getting triggered and the patterns keep continuing. I'm like, it's time for to do some PSIs as well, psychedelic somatic integration work. And so I'm thinking of this last gentleman, and it was his second PSI. And the first PSI was a lot of really just teaching him how to feel, how to stay in his body and not run away and disassociate. And it was dark. There was a lot of pain of his divorce. She left because, in her words, through him to me, so I've never spoken to her, but you were too much of a nice guy. And as we did our private coaching, group coaching, and these PSIs, he watched dad provide and never be home, and mom ran the show. So he was looking for a woman who ran the show. So he was just going to be the nice guy. None of this, of course, was conscious. But the pain was awful. And then he couldn't forgive her, because then if he forgave her, he would have to get on with life. And he didn't want to get on with life. He didn't want to risk getting hurt again. So as long as I just kept hating her, I got a get out of jail free card. I could just stay on my couch. Netflix is looking really good. And then he would dabble dating. But of course, because you're not even fully committed, he's going to attract what? Not fully committed people. What? How curious. You keep getting ghosted? Yeah, because you're ghosting yourself. Okay, so we're in our second PSI. He's getting the hang of feeling. Oh, okay. It was one of the most results heavy. All of them are epic. All of them are epic. And they're so breathtaking because I'm not in charge. I'm facilitating, but I am the space through which the divine comes. And I never know what's going to happen. They never know what's going to happen. So it's a free fall of trust into the body, and it's exquisite every time. But this time for him, the dude didn't have a purpose. He didn't know why he's on the planet. And one of the greatest downfalls of men is to make the woman the purpose. Too much pressure, too much power to give her. He found his purpose. He found his core. He's a very, very intelligent man, and very overthinker. And we found before his, like, you know, you can call it your inner critic. I call it your identity. His identity is the perfect one. And his perfect one is an asshole, a total asshole to him. And so when we were able to integrate that out of the head where it lives and into the body, he found his core. Oh, he found his core, the source of his aliveness, the source of his power, the source of his truth, the source of his wisdom. It was amazing. So he got his purpose, found his core. And then at one point, his hands were like not being nice to him, but that was, and then he put his hands up gently to his face. I said, "Oh, are you experiencing more self-love than you ever have?" He's like, "No, I'm experiencing first self-love for the first time." That's priceless, priceless. Your purpose, your core, and self-love. But it didn't stop there. And then next, the way he was raised, sexuality is for pleasure or copulation. He had no idea that he could penetrate the world with his sacred sexual energy of his purpose. He could make love with life. He didn't have to turn off his sacred sexual energy. He gets to be alive all the time. Like, no clue. So he felt for the first time his potency penetrating the world with the light that he is, the love that he is, the heart that he is, the purpose that he is, the core that he is. What did he say? Because I feel like Superman. Oh, that's awesome. So, like, anyway, it was phenomenal, phenomenal. And that all came from the pain of divorce. That was the gift. Thank you. So last morning I do like intake, outtake every single day. And then we do like the PSI in the middle. So we're sitting out on the porch where that squirrel was that I just showed you. And so we went through the whole thank you thing. Remember how I said earlier, so we did part 2 of this process. Thank you to his ex-wife for divorcing me. And I made that man go through 10 areas of life. What did I say? Physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, vocational, financial, social, parental, romantic, sexual, 10 areas. Thank you. And I made him look, and he found a reason, many reasons, to be grateful, thankful, appreciative that he had a divorce, got a divorce, because every single area of his life is better. Every single area of his life is better. Yeah. So proud of him. So inspired by him. Ooh, the lucky lady. Yeah. In fact, I was telling him he ought to come to the retreat because there's only 2 other men signed up thus far, and they're both married. So we got all the single ladies. And I go, we need a guy. We need, so he's like, oh, and my retreats are only open to clients, because I keep a very high caliber. Only people who do the work get to come. Only people who've earned the right to be there, who are vulnerable and brave and own their stuff and have each other's back and don't judge each other and don't give unsolicited advice. All the things that we do in our community that keeps it safe and honoring and a portal of transformation. So he's going to not just meet single ladies. He's going to meet women who do the work, women who also have been through painful divorces, women who have forgiven themselves and others, and women who know their worth, as we go all the way back to that first question, when they've, healed their shame and or their sexual wounds, or they have a whole new relationship with the divine. Like, those are the type of ladies he will be meeting. And they will be blessed to meet him. I mean, we want to meet a man who has a purpose, who lives in his core, who understands sexuality is sacred, who loves himself with humility. Yeah. Okay. You can tell how much I love my job. It's not even a job. It's my purpose. It's my distinct privilege and pleasure. So if any of these stories that I've shared with you resonate and you'd like to connect with me, I would love to. It's called an Intimacy Breakthrough Experience call. You can register for that. And if you go into the show notes, there's a scholarship for people that watch this podcast. So you can have a savings, a scholarship, and then make it a sacred time. This, I don't mess around. I'm not going to pity you. I'm not going to just give you a couple tips. We're going to go right to the core right away. But what's really causing you to repel the love and the intimacy and the connection that you deserve, and I know that you desire. And it would be an honor, as it is, to walk with you and welcome you to this incredible community. So thank you so much for the opportunity of being with you today. Thank you for letting me love the shit out of you, share these stories, and I'll see you next time on Intimate Conversations. All my love. See you next week on Intimate Conversations. Get out there and make love to life.
I cannot tell you how excited I am when the fall hits around here. Like some of these beautiful, all these like trees are going to turn so pretty. I asked if I could rent the Airbnb through the end of the year. I may not need it. I may still find my cabin to buy. It may still all fall into place. But the stress of having to like find something, buy it, close escrow, get out, like it was too much. So I'm so blessed that I'm able to rent it till the end of the year and really enjoy the changing of seasons, enjoy leading Become the One Mastery program, enjoy being with my clients and my newfound clients who sign up for this 8-week powerful program. And so as we complete this conversation about meeting God and the goddess, really allowing the universe to have our back, when I think of all the stuff we've all been through, and when I think about all the things I've been through, and I can become a bitter victim pretty fast. Like, it's not fair. And yet, because I'm willing to choose that the divine has my back and that everything is for me to grow and evolve, and I've now become humbled that it's not me doing the magic with my clients. I am the vessel through which the divine uses me for my clients. And the more I do this work, the less there is a separation between I'm the hollow rod, kind of like standby, and the divine is using me. And it's like these two things. It's becoming more and more one, where the doubt, am I really hearing that? Should I really say that? Is that the best way to support my clients in this moment? That mind step of doubt, questioning, second guessing is dissolving, and I'm just able to be the embodiment of love, fierce love, tender love for them. And yet simultaneously, I know it's not like my ego. I know I'm not trying to do something. There's no attachment to a result. There's humility, there's surrender, there's humble honor, and there's deep, it's exquisitely breathtaking, the amount of love I have for my clients as I take them through PSIs, as we gather for retreats, as we gather every week on our group calls. I'm so grateful. So I'm so grateful for my relationship, I guess we'll call it, my intimate relationship with the divine. I really feel like my lover is the divine. I feel like I've been married for 20 years, feeling like, I don't know what that would feel like because I've never been married for 20 years. I'm about to hit a dock. One-handed paddling again. So I really actually don't know what that feels like. But if I thought of what that would feel like, that's what I think it feels like. Like I'm in a really healthy relationship. It's been like that for decades. But it's the divine. And I feel safe to be human and scared, and I feel safe to be delicious and rapturous. Oh, a little bit of shade right there. Okay. And so I encourage you just to do like a check-in. Do you feel safe in your skin? Do you feel held by the divine? Do you feel enough, no matter what you have accomplished or will accomplish? Like, if we just took all of it away and there was just beingness, do you feel home? Sorry, a little bit more paddling so we don't now go into the shoreline. Because if you don't, I was there, that's for sure. But as we continue to do this beautiful integrative work, embodiment work, becoming more and more aligned, there's an exquisite sense of, like, not even like safety. It's like so beyond that. It's just, I am one with all, held. Oh, beautiful turkey vulture. They're also pretty damn big. Big birds around here. I love it. Hi, baby. Oh, it's just got its arms out like so elegantly. I like how they sun themselves. And sometimes you can be by them and there's like a good 5, 10, 15 of them and they're all facing the exact same direction with their back to the sun so they can get the sun on their wings. It's like you enter into this ceremony, this ritual of oneness with the divine. So I love how these birds, these majestic birds, have supported my journey. So if I can be there to support you in getting out of the head, getting into the body, which is initially intense. I'm sorry, now another dock I'm going to hit. Can you hear it kind of going squeak, squeak? There is a way out. It doesn't need to be antidepressants. It doesn't need to be a better mindset. It doesn't need to be just stay busy and accomplish enough so you feel, I don't know, good enough. Those are all stages, potential stages, but it doesn't have to be like that. There is a way that I'm blessed to facilitate where all of that can integrate. And I got you. And I got you, and I'll go anywhere with you. And I know, I don't hope, I know we'll get home every single time because your body knows what it's doing. The divine knows what it's doing. And this is a way that I get to partner with people that I never knew was ever on its way to my life. And I've never been more fulfilled and happy to love you so deeply, exactly as you are. So let me know if that resonates. Reach out. It's called an Intimacy Breakthrough Experience Call. You can find it on my website. There's also a coupon scholarship for those of you who listen to Intimate Conversations so that it can be less of an investment. And yet, believe me, it's going to be a priceless connection as we explore what's possible for you to come home and be your most empowered, fulfilled, delicious, dorky, goofy, sexy, alive, free, living without apology self. I love you, and thanks for being with us on Intimate Conversations.